Hello and welcome to Motor Week from the Paris Motor Show, which promises to be one of the best ever. It's packed with new models, the most eagerly awaited being the Mini. Peugeot, Renault and Citroën have a hall almost to themselves to show a huge variety of vehicles. Well, this very strange looking thing is actually a car. What it is Citroën's answer to getting around traffic congested cities like Paris. It's a petrol-electric hybrid MPV with, wait for it, a separate compartment at the back that allows you to pick up hitchhikers. Strange, but it's oh so true. What it basically is, though, is a personal taxi that will allow the motorists of the future to car share more safely. The Osmos is certainly innovative, but you know, I'm sure it's easier to take the bus. And Citroën have launched a new version of the Zara. It's packed with the kind of gadgets you'd normally expect in a luxury car. And as a result, it's got longer and wider to squeeze them all in. Now, in terms of styling, it isn't radically different to the version that's come before it. But if you look, you can definitely see a resemblance in it to the Picasso, particularly around the nose. And this style will feature strongly in all of the future Citroën models. Citroën have packed the new Zara with the kind of gadgets you'd expect in a luxury car, and it's got longer and wider to fit them all in. The new styling has hints of the Picasso, and this is a style that will be on all future Citroën's models. Another star of Citroën's stand is the replacement for the Xantia, the C5. Now, the wallowy Xantia has never been a huge hit with British buyers, so will the C5 prove to be more tempting? Well, in terms of styling, this certainly is a very attractive car. I really do think they've hit the mark with it. It's got nice, long, sleek lines, it will look good on the road, and it's got this family nose that, as we've said, will become a feature on all future Citroëns. And what Citroën also seem to have realised is that all the very successful luxury cars don't have names, they have numbers. So perhaps by calling it C5, they've done something that will make it into a hit. Some very odd things happening on the Peugeot stand. The French car giant had spent an impressive amount of euros on some rather strange entertainment, and also some rather strange little cars. They called them the City-Toys. They feel that these cars evoke the pleasure of motoring for the driver in the distant future. And yes, I like them, but unfortunately by the time they're on the road, I'll be far too old to enjoy them. And this is how Peugeot envisaged the City-Toys might look in the world of the future. All very strange. And now let's get back to reality with something we might actually be able to drive. A couple of years back, Peugeot launched a concept, 2.0 Heart, and that has finally made it into a production reality. This is the rather gorgeous 206 coupe and cabriolet combined. It features a pretty stunning SLK type roof, has tiny rear seating for two very small people, but really that doesn't matter because it looks so fantastic. When it goes on sale next year, it will have a choice of two engines, a 1.6 producing 110 brake horsepower, or a 2-litre 16-valve that will pump out 138 brake. I think it's just the perfect way to cruise along the Côte d'Azur.
It's hard to believe that the Jeep has been around for 60 years, but that's what they're celebrating here at the Paris show. And this is the vehicle that really started it all off. It's an original 1944 Willys Jeep, the go anywhere, do anything army vehicle. Our reporter Glenda McKay has been investigating the history of Jeep.
Now, we all know that Chrysler Jeep can cut it off-road, and they're pretty popular on the school run. And what, you might be asking, has that got to do with this beautiful French countryside? Well, I'm here at this vineyard called Jeepers to take you back 60 years in time for a bit of a history lesson. It was in World War II when the US Army sent out a call for a light reconnaissance vehicle that a rickety tinny Jeep was designed by Willis Overland. Rickety it may have been, but over 600,000 were produced, and that was enough to secure its place in history and mark the start of one of the best-selling off-roaders ever. During the next 40 years, Jeep changed hands twice before Chrysler finally signed on the dotted line in 1987. Over the years, Jeep has completely transformed itself from an agricultural, industrial workhorse to a much more refined luxury vehicle like it is today. But let me tell you, it hasn't compromised any of its off-road capabilities. During the Second World War, most of France's farmland was left to rack and ruin, including Armand Guettard's vineyard. He returned from a prisoner of war camp handicapped in 1944. In order to help him rebuild his vineyard, the French government supplied him with a Willys Jeep. Now, this Willys Jeep became an integral part of him redeveloping and expanding his vineyard. And Armand was so thankful to the little Willys Jeep that he actually called his vineyard Jeepers. Oh, what a lovely story. This Grand Cherokee has got a 4.7 V8 engine, 220 brake horsepower. It'll go from 0 to 60 in 8.3 seconds, which is pretty quick for a big car like this. Not surprisingly, it likes fuel. Very thirsty car. I'm travelling in the lap of luxury here. Lovely high driving position, and on a long journey you don't even feel as if you've travelled far at all. Like most high-sided vehicles, there's quite a lot of body roll. But compared to the 4x4s on the market, the handling of this Grand Cherokee is really very good. As you can see, the boot is really quite spacious, which is just as well when you're in the Champagne region of France, because, you know, it'd be really quite rude not to take home just a few crates of champagne. Not for me, of course, for my friends. So what's next for Jeep? Well, there's some quite exciting concepts such as the Jeepster, the Icon, the Eco, but whatever happens in the present or the future, Jeep will always maintain strong links with the past. And I reckon that most people would agree. Over the last 6 decades, Jeep has managed to maintain a strong position as one of the original and the best 4x4s on the market.
Well, this is how the French are delivering onions these days. It's a kind of cross between a mini truck and a bike. It's called the Scoot car. It's powered by 3 12-volt batteries, and can get you to speeds of up to 30 miles an hour. But the best thing about it is the price, around £3,000. Not bad for the money at all. But if it's a bit more power that you're after, then why not try the beach buggy? Powered by a 340cc engine, if it were ever made road legal in Britain, it would be the perfect way to beat inner city traffic, as long as it doesn't rain, of course. Make sure you join us after the break when we'll be showing you how the new Mini was unveiled to the world. Over here on Renault's stand, this is the star attraction, the Laguna 2. There are 2 different versions on display. An estate car and this 5-door hatch. Now each of these 2 vehicles is being produced individually from the word go to effectively make 2 different cars. And Renault hope that they will make them a major player in this market. Have they succeeded? Well, why don't you decide? Well, my biggest gripe about the Laguna, apart from the rear end, which I think is a bit dodgy, is the interior. When are designers going to remember that what we actually spend our time inside is the car? We don't look at it from the outside, we look at the interior. And this has got to be one of the worst I've seen in ages. Okay, it's well packed with plenty of gadgets, everything seems pretty well made, but it's just so horrible to look at. If I had to get into this car and see this brown and grey interior every day, I think it would make me sick. And I see you found my personal favourite, the 2-tone grey version. Lots and lots of cheap plastic and grey, very original. Well, you've seen this before, certainly in concept and in a study form, but this is the production version that will go on sale in November. It's an absolute belter and it's the Renault Clio Sport V6. Now, it's going to be produced in partnership with Renault and TWR. TWR will be producing the car in small numbers with parts supplied by Renault. It's going to be strictly a 2-seater, it's going to be mid-engined and it promises to be an absolute blast. Well, the Renault stand may be absolutely huge and packed with dozens and dozens of cars, but I'm afraid to say that this is the only sexy thing on it. Apart from me, of course. Well, it's time to meet the undisputed star of the show. For 2 years, it's teased us with just the odd photograph to prove its existence. But at last, the Mini is here, and the crowds are here to see it.
The Mini's main problem is that for all its die-hard fans, and of course there are many, it's no longer Carnaby Street chic. It's an example of German precision, powered by an engine that comes from Brazil and designed by an American. The Germans say it's more powerful, muscular and exciting than its predecessor, but has it lost its charm? And would John Cooper necessarily agree with that statement? The Mini was the car of the people, and BMW wanted the new Mini launch to be seen by the people too. So if you're wondering what that strange contraption is on that lady's head, well, it's a webcam. BMW launched the Mini simultaneously at the Paris show and also via the web. Interviews with the designers and people's reactions to the car were broadcast live on the internet. And Mini enthusiasts were certainly impressed because several hundred people registered to buy one on the day it was seen via the net.
Well, let's face it, what this car really is a small BMW with a Mini badge stuck on the front. Perhaps a spell behind the wheel will put a smile on all our faces, but we're going to have to wait for that because production doesn't start on the Mini until early 2001 at the Oxford plant, and the first Minis won't hit the roads until summer of next year, so it's going to be another long wait. This is the Suzuki Ignis, and Ken Gibson has had an exclusive first drive.
Suzuki are the small car specialist that discovered the secret of giving big car interiors, but at an affordable price. They started it all off with a huge hit Wagon R. That sold 1.5 million all over the world. It's Japan's best-selling car. Only one problem, it looked a bit like Postman Pat's van. Well, they've now come up with a new model, which has got a lot better small is beautiful type of looks. It's called the Ignis. The Ignis is far more mainstream European styling, and it's a sort of a cross between a small people carrier, a Mini 4x4 and a hatchback. The Ignis is big on versatility. I like this clever little removable stowage box under the luggage area. On the road, the Ignis fits into the very, very easy to drive category. The steering is light and precise, nice and handy. It's actually smaller than a Ford car, despite the incredible amount of interior space, which means it's also very, very easy around town. Perfect for those people who do not like parking in tight spaces. The engine's impressed me. It's a new 1.3, quite lively without being exciting. It's also excellent on economy, which is becoming more and more important for the obvious reasons at the moment. I've recorded over 45 mpg, and that's motorway and city driving. Suzuki have still got a way to go on interiors though, especially the fabrics. The car is a classic Japanese sea of grey, although they are trying a little bit with the various fleck on the seats, which tries to brighten it up, but they just need to add a dash of colour somewhere. That said, there's nothing wrong with the comfort levels of the seats. It's very supportive on the back. I've done over 150 miles motorway and felt pretty good. And I also like the refinement level. The ride is smooth and the car is very quiet for a 1.3. So the Ignis verdict. Well, it's much better looking than the Wagon R, but that doesn't say too much. I think the best news is that I believe it'll be competitively priced, starting at from 7.6 for the entry level 1.3 up to around about 8.7 for this 5-door model. And that makes it ideal for motorists whose biggest priority is practicality, versatility, in not a bad little package.
There's a car behind me that's had people swarming around it for simply hours. So what is it? Is it something new and exciting from Ferrari? Maybe a new launch from BMW? No, it's the Honda Civic. Honda are of course very conscious of who it is that buys the Civic, and that's been reflected in the design of this new model. It isn't so much revolutionary as evolutionary. Honda say that this car's been designed from the inside out. Their main aim was to get more space, so that's what they concentrated on first. And it's worked because the new Civic has class-leading space inside. That's the kind of thing that gets you going. This is the 5-door Civic, which will go on sale in the UK in January 2001. It'll be followed later in the year with the coupe and a 3-door hatchback. And the good news for British buyers and British people in general is that the Civic will still be made in the UK at the Honda Swindon plant.
Now, it wouldn't be a motor show without some concepts, and Paris didn't let us down. Hyundai showed that they can produce more than economical little runabouts with this fabulous 2-seater roadster concept. Audi went wild with the Steppenwolf. It may be based on the A3's platform, but as you can see, bears no resemblance to it at all. It looks like it's escaped from Mad Max and comes with a detachable carbon fibre roof, huge 19-inch wheels, and is powered by a 3.2-litre V6 that can rocket the Steppenwolf from 0 to 60 in under 8 seconds and take it on to well over 140 miles an hour. If this is a hint of Audis to come, then we like it. Smart proved that small can be very, very beautiful with this Sportster that looks uncannily like a Mini M Coupe and could well make it onto the road. And over on BMW, the Mini was ousted out of centre stage by their concept, the Z9 iDrive, which, according to BMW, will set new standards for entire generations of future vehicles. It will be operated by one central controller that works with a state-of-the-art onboard computer. And it also features 6-speed Steptronic technology on the steering wheel, just like the ones you'll find in Formula One. It's just a shame that the car's rather ugly, really.
Well, that's it from the Paris show. The next motor show is on home ground at the NEC in Birmingham. And of course, Motor Week will be bringing you all the news, so make sure you join us.